Friends, this is Dr. John WorldPeace JD. I have a doctorate of jurisprudence. I'm not a medical doctor, and I'm not a PhD. Today, I want to talk about the Christian subordination of women endorsed by the Republican Party. The reality is the fact that in American politics, women are second-class citizens. Essentially, American politics is one of an apartheid state, which means that the rights and privileges of women are secondary to male domination. The Kavanaugh Committee, Judiciary Committee, of the senators or Republican senators, all were male, none female. There's a problem with the women's movement, the peace movement, and other many groups that focus on those issues, but not specifically on the same issues group to group. So what you have is a situation where these, talking now about women's group, there's a lot of them, but there's no figurehead. And they're each territorial. And consequently, the Republicans and at times the Democrats want to know who they're going to talk to. So you have a mob of peace advocate groups and women's groups, but there's no figurehead. And so the Republicans and the Democrats at times, they want to confuse and break up these groups so there is nobody to talk to. And nothing happens. The Republicans block the coalitions, and then they complain that there's nobody to talk to. The reality is that it's going to take a male, white, American politician with a law degree and a significant resume to go head to head with Donald Trump and the Republicans. It's been obvious that any woman who tries to talk directly to this white male cadre is going nowhere. They're going to be discounted and marginalized. I believe absolutely that women's movements need to be run by women. But they're going to need someone like me, and I don't know of anybody else like me, who's going to stand up to the Republicans and demand to be heard. And they're not going to discount me because I'm white, male, and have a significant resume, the most important of which is a law degree. So I want to crack the door open. And for whatever period of time it takes, I want to wedge in to this apartheid state that the Republicans have control over at the present time. But the women have to run their own groups, but they're not going to get a hearing of any kind from white male Republicans. Now, I believe that we're all spiritual beings, and I believe that our Christian spiritual nature has got to be in harmony with our politics without controlling politics. The Bible says, Jesus says, when he was asked about what happens when a man has a wife and he dies and she marries 4 or 5 or 6 of his brothers and then she dies. The question is, whose wife is she going to be in heaven? And Jesus said, that's not the way it works. There's no gender in heaven. There's no sex. And why? Because human bodies are dust that create dust. Human bodies cannot procreate a soul. Only God can do that. So human bodies create, which are made of dust, create other human bodies, and then God inserts a spiritual being into that human body. In heaven, prior to birth, souls have no gender. And after death of the body, they return to no gender. The Christian leaders give the impression, which is not true, that human beings procreate human bodies and therefore, in a sense, force God to create a soul. Well, that's nonsense. 10% of all pregnancies by nature terminate in the first 3 months. If a soul doesn't attach to a human body, it's not going to survive. That's the reality. Jesus said, in heaven, souls are like angels. No sex. No reason to have sex. Sex is an earthly thing for the sole purpose of procreating human beings and to propagate the human race. And into those bodies, the soul comes in. Now let me step back for just a minute. The Catholic Church has a significant problem with young boys and pedophile gay priests. And the church refuses to actually do anything of significance if they're even capable of doing it. And so later on in life, these young boys speak about their sexual molestation by priests. We all know that happens. Now, in the Catholic Church, there are nuns and there are priests. And the nuns have their own little organization, but they're subordinated to and report to the male priest. The Catholic Church, the Pope, does not allow female priests. The Catholic Church subordinates women within the church. They do not have a path to becoming a pope. Now, this is important. If young boys cannot gain any traction reporting pedophile priests, and based upon what happened to Anita Hill and Dr. Ford in a secular society, where neither one got any traction about their claims against Kavanaugh and Clarence Thomas, what do you think is going to happen when a nun says she's been raped by a priest? Nothing. The young boys get traction. The women get none. When have you ever heard of a nun suing a priest for rape? doesn't happen. The Catholic Church has successfully subordinated women to second-class citizenship, and they fully support this issue globally. Now, the problem is that the Republican Party has nothing to offer women. What do they have to offer? Nothing except subordination. Less pay, inequality, and the only way that's going to change is if women abandon the Republican Party and go to the Democratic Party, which is working on giving first-class citizenship to all women. The point that I'm trying to make here is that Jesus, talking about God, says that souls are made by God, but when they come into this reality, they have to choose, or God chooses, male or female. But those male or female bodies are irrelevant to heaven, which has no gender. And you have the Republican Party and the Catholic Church seeming to indicate that women are not only subordinate on earth, they're subordinate throughout the entire spiritual dimension. And it's nonsense. So these issues of maintaining a subordination of women is nonsense. Just because a spirit is female during their incarnation on earth doesn't mean that God has condemned them to second-class status throughout the entire spiritual dimension. It's stupid. So ladies, if you are burdened by the thoughts that have been put upon you by the Republican Party and politics worldwide, then you need to trash that idea. You need to realize that you are simply residing in a female body, but your spirit is every bit as equal to spirits who incarnate as males. This subordination of women is stupid. It has no Christian basis. But it is preached in the Catholic Church, and it is preached to some degree in all Christian churches, mainly because of the Apostle Paul, who said, hey, women are subordinated to men. He did that because in establishing Christianity, he had all he could do to get people's attention to come to Jesus. And adding on the burden of trying to create an egalitarian society at that time would not let him gain any traction for Christianity. So he had to work within the format of a known religious system. I have a crowdfunding site for John WorldPeace as an independent write-in candidate, and one for world peace advocacy and one for the reformation of Christianity. And they all work together to improve the peace, level of peace on the earth. Ladies, the Republican Party has nothing for you except second-class citizenship leave the Republican Party, go to the Democrats, fill every elected office with half women, and things will change dramatically in American democracy. This is Dr. John WorldPeace JD. It's October the 25th, 2018. Thank you for your consideration. Have a good day.